So I wanted to showcase a website that, even though it's nicely designed for desktop, it isn't a website that's easily capable of being responsive without kind of reconstructing the entire site from the ground up or redesigning the website from the ground up. This isn't a website I designed. This was actually outsourced to me to program. And I do like the website. I think it looks nice. And as you can see, it's still being worked on. As you can see, the guidelines here, which will be taken out once the site goes into production. But some of the elements that I wanted to point out is that makes it really difficult for responsive is that typically how most responsive websites work is as the screens get smaller, the content that's on the right hand side either stacks underneath the element that's on the left hand side or above it. So naturally, if this site was made responsive, this area here, this whole form element here, would stack underneath because it doesn't really make sense to stack it above. And the logo could either be stacked underneath here or above. The menus would either turn into a drop-down box or a hamburger bar, which this site's fine. There's no issues in terms of the menus, either the top menu or the footer menu. The main issue is, okay, what do we do with these elements here? And there's a couple approaches, as well as the screens get smaller. How are we gonna kind of condense the text? This would naturally slide over and it would collide with the spigot, making it hard to read. Um, so here are a couple things that would make it really tough responsive. So one of the elements, one of the things that you need to know as well is that the PSD, the comp that was given to me, the logo and this down arrow is actually a flat image that's flattened into the actual background of all this. So I wasn't really able to cut this as a PNG layer that floats above, as well as this down arrow as well. So with that, even with that part, you can't even make responsive because actually this is one big background. Let's see if I can actually get kind of show you what that looks like. Open up a new tab. So that's kind of the basically this whole website is one big, at least the inside part is one big image, and basically there's text and the form that's kind of built on top of it. So because of that alone, I can't make responsive because essentially what happens is this image just gets smaller and smaller. It just shrink, and it would just get really weird. But even if this logo was a layer of its own, and this down arrow was a layer of its own, it's still problematic in terms of the in terms of responsive. Logo not so much because it would just float there. That'd be fine. It's particular this part here. How, if you stack it, and even if you make it stack underneath the spigot, it's just a lot of white space for a person to scroll, especially when they're on their phone. The text here is the other issue. What we could do is essentially on the mobile device hide the spigot, and then we could move this over, and that could work as well. And then perhaps not show this part at all, and essentially just grab the text in a form and put it underneath the text. That could work. But yeah, given the files that I was given, it would be really really tough, if not impossible. In terms of in terms of this website as a desktop website, the main issue I have, my philosophy is that content is king. But with this design, this is design is king. And what I mean by that is basically the design, how things are laid out, actually dictates how the content's laid out, which makes it difficult in terms of if you ever wanted to add more content, can't really do that because this text here would just collide down. How this is actually programmed is essentially this area here is actually one div box, and this element here is a second div box. So if you added more content to this, it will just keep on flowing. It doesn't naturally just be like, there's no actual I guess there's no invisible wall here where the text, you could just be one big box and it would just know, oh, there's an invisible wall here, so just start filling up on the right hand side. No, this is actually two different containers, which, not a big deal, but really it should just be one free flowing container. So, but other than that, I do like the site, just not really a responsive, easy site, just because of how things would stack. It just doesn't really make sense. So there you go.